you'd heard the freestyle, you'd spoken to Nation Boss, and then he finally came to the studio. So what was that first like link up like, that first interaction like?
That well, all right. He might not want me to say this, but I'll just be honest. Like he came to the studio and it was overwhelming for him. You know, he had never. A lot was happening just on the media. The attention that he was getting, he was very overwhelmed. He had seen the studio. He had never been in a studio like this or in an environment like this, and you know, it came with a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, a lot of joy, and a lot of anxiety as well, because he never knew what to expect.
But what are you saying, bro? You good?
Bless, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, bro. You in the studio right now?
I am, yeah.
Mad. So what time is it? Like 1 p.m. there right now?
Yeah, so this is usually the time I normally get here.
Okay, I
Not,
was gonna ask. Yeah, what's your typical day in the studio like?
yeah, I usually get here around, 1. So I mean I'll come in like sometimes 10 if I got like a busy day. But usually 10 to midnight or 1 to midnight,
Mad. And that's just straight in the studio, no breaks or anything like that?
Oh, we take breaks. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll cook. We have a little kitchen outside and stuff, and we'll hang out and,
Nice.
just have a nice vibe.
Yeah, man. So how many people working at the studio? Like how many people you got sort of around?
There's like, I said the regulars that come pass through every day or every couple of days, but typically there's 2 people that are here every day.
Mad.
Yeah, man.
So when did you build the studio? How long you had that studio running now?
So all right. Prior, when I first started, I was working out in my bedroom, and typical, everybody was doing that. And then I found out I had a baby on the way, so I had to change up that because I'm like, there's no way I can have a baby here and I'm, banging music all day. So I built the studio in 2017, and so now there's 2 rooms. There's an A room and a B room. So it started off with just the B room, which was a small space, and then over the years things started progressing. We needed more space. We wanted more environments to work so people could record here and production be going on in the other room. And so that was the vibe, just to create a hub of, just everything can happen at once,
Yeah, nice. And you got the new record out with Top Man right now, which is doing well.
Yeah, it's doing well. I found him on Instagram a while back, and he was actually in the States, so it took him a little while to get back here, and then we worked on it for like 2 weeks and got it out. So it's a good vibe though,
And what can you tell us about Top Man as an artist, like for those who maybe don't know him yet?
All right, I'll say this. He impressed me. I heard the song and I thought it was a good song. He really impressed me when I heard how much other music he had that nobody has heard. So that was like, an eye-opener, because he came to the studio and he probably has like 20 to 30 songs. A lot of them recorded, a lot of them, they're already done. They could be improved a little bit and worked on, but he has a lot of material that nobody's heard. So he was like this artist that was kind of in a shell that he needs to be exposed,
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And I found that you've almost had that same similar experience with Nation Boss as well. Like you found him on Instagram. That's right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So tell us about that, because that's been a real, one of the great success stories of the last couple of years, I'd say. So tell us about how that all came about.
So I was just scrolling, and then, wake up in the morning, pick up my phone, I start going through, checking emails, checking social media. And my friend had posted him, And I was like, all right, this caught my attention. It was a Sunday morning. So I was kind of in a, not like a get up and let's go to work. I was in a more relaxed mood. And then I was like, man, these words are powerful. So I reached out to him, and he had been, you know, tagging me in some stuff that he had been posting before. So I thought that was cool. And then I said, like, I would love to work on this song. The only thing is, if we're doing it, it has to be done like within the next 2 days. So he was like, 2 days? I'm, you know, all the way in Ocho Rios. And so I was like, don't worry, no matter how I'll come pick you up, whatever, we'll figure it out, but it has to be done right away. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of like, I would say, the main vision that I had was to get this done right away so we could like seize the moment, you know? Because you don't get those chances every day.
For real.
So that was the Sunday, and then we recorded the song on Tuesday. And then from that Tuesday until the following Tuesday, we did the video, we did all the production, everything.
That's crazy. And I think you're right, you know, it's that seizing of the moment and that, you know, taking the best of that opportunity, really, you know, making the best of it. And did you feel at any point that, you know, the recorded version maybe wouldn't get the same traction, because obviously it was the freestyle clip that went viral, you know, and you know how fickle people can be, you know, they lose their attention in short spaces of time. Did you ever worry that, okay, like this might sort of fizzle out or anything like that?
It did cross my mind, and I was very like particular in when I was producing that song that I did not want to take away anything from the original. Mm-hmm. So I would, when the song was like in the production stages, like I had made the beat and we had recorded it and everything, I kept on going back to the original, kept on going back and just listening to the two of them to make sure that it still had all the things that like grabbed me, which was the authenticity. It wasn't overproduced. It was very natural, you know? Mm. And I also made sure that that reflected in the video. If you notice, the video wasn't like some crazy budget video. It was very simple. It was just him by himself, you know, and that was kind of what I wanted to do. Yeah, very natural and organic feel, you know?
Yeah, for real. So obviously, you know, you'd heard the freestyle, you'd spoken to Nation Boss, and then he finally came to the studio. So what was that first like link up like, that first interaction like?
Well, all right. He might not want me to say this, but I'll just be honest. Like, he came to the studio and it was overwhelming for him, you know? He had never, a lot was happening just on the media. The attention that he was getting, he was very overwhelmed. He had seen the studio. He had never been in a studio like this or in an environment like this. And, you know, it came with a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, a lot of joy, and a lot of anxiety as well, because he never knew what to expect. So, you know, I obviously just showed him as much love and compassion and just told him, like, you know, we're gonna work on this. And through the tears, through the laughter, we had a very amazing session. It was like one to remember for sure.
Mm. It sounds like there was a lot of energy, you know, there must have been a lot of positive energy in that moment, you know, obviously because he had been a fan of you before, you know, and you had picked him up. So it was almost like a sort of, it was almost like the stars had kind of aligned for that all to happen.
For sure. It felt like a big brother, little brother moment, you know. I had just met this kid and all of a sudden we just connected, you know. Musically we connected and the energies connected. It was just a vibe, you know. And I realized that he needed somebody to kind of just be there and tell him, like, you know, you're blowing up on social media and all that, but among everything else, we're gonna like make sure that you know, we take the step by step and not just put out a song just because there's a buzz behind it and everything.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, he must have had a lot of, from the moment that went viral, he must have had a lot of people contacting him and stuff, which you know, he wouldn't have been used to. So, you know, it's obviously understanding that he might have been a bit overwhelmed by the whole, you know, that whole experience. So then the actual recording of it, how quickly did you manage to get that done, like the final recording?
I would say we spent probably like the first 2.5 hours just talking, just getting to know each other, just talking, you know, about how he was feeling, where he was coming from, how long he'd been trying, how long he'd been waiting for this moment, you know, all of that, before we could even decide to sing. So, and then the song was done. It maybe took us 2 hours or so, not long.
Okay, nice. And then the video, that was, how long did you say after that you did the video? Was it like the next day or something? Or?
So we did the video a couple of days later, and you know, like Rvssian has been my friend from a long time. He reached out to me, and once he reached out to me, I knew he was the right person for the job. Obviously, it was the first video I'd ever worked on with him, even though we've been in the same circle and we've been friends. And he just creatively, he just understood what it needed and what needed to happen, and he just executed that to the T, which I commend him for, you know.
Yeah, for real. And yeah, obviously the video was released, and then, you know, what I liked about what you guys did is that you didn't let that kind of the buzz die. You know what I mean? You kept it going, you know, because it could have been so easy, like I mentioned earlier, for that to just be a one-hit moment and just you know, a flash in the pan. But, you know, you really managed to keep the momentum going, and it's still going now. So you've worked on a few records together since then. How much time do you guys work together, like, generally?
It's been tricky because we've been balancing, you know, the busy work, singing the dub plates, getting all of the interviews, getting all of that stuff done, and then focusing on what's to come next, you know. So we obviously, for like months, it was every day we were in and out of the studio, in and out of interviews, and just trying to balance everything. And then, you know, there comes a time when, okay, he needs to take a break and also like clear his mind and, you know, get things going again. So there's a bit of that, and you have to kind of be understanding for that, because he's never been in a situation to work 6 months straight without the day off, you know. So it's a balance, obviously, and it can be overwhelming too.
Yeah, for real. And the reaction, you know, the reactions to the songs, I think, have been pretty consistent as well, you know. And you got the song with Yaksta, which I think is an amazing record. I think I actually prefer that to Humans. I think that's a great record.
Yeah, man.
How did that link up come about? Because obviously Yaksta is another artist who's on a similar kind of, you know, vibe, I'd say, to Nation Boss. So that was kind of like a natural link up, I imagine.
Yeah, it actually, Yaksta reached out, and he had come to the studio, and he was very interested in us doing a record, and he was like, let's get it done. And I had Yaksta at the studio. Nation was on his way, and I just started playing some music, some chords, and Yaksta was like, that's it, load it up. And I'd say within 20 minutes, he had like his whole part done.
Crazy.
And then so I was like, Nation, you speed up, bro. You need to get here quick. It's already done. But
great. So you done it in the time that Nation Boss was traveling to the studio.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
And then Nation came, and Nation he's a very like calm and collective writer. So he's not gonna just rush and write something just to do it, you know. So he took his time and penciled out his parts and stuff, and you know, it just came together amazing. And then once I heard the song, I knew it was gone, you know. I knew it was something that it needed to. If you notice, like the way Yaksta did the song, he actually wrote the song to what Nation was going through, you know.
Yeah.
From him going and burying his heart up on the hill, to then Yaksta coming and saying, like, basically, Jaja feels your pain, everything's going to be all right. You know, when these emotions are coming through you, just know that everything's going to be okay. So it complemented everything that was happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for real, man. So taking it back to the beginning then, because I feel like over the last couple of years, you know, people are really starting to take notice of what you're doing, you know, which is great to see. But there's not loads out there on, you know, how your journey started and all that sort of stuff. So, like, I mean, it would be interesting to know, you know, where your love for music started and, you know, the journey of becoming a producer.
So I went to music school in 2011, right? Prior to that, I was like going to college and just not really getting anywhere with what I was doing. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a year off. I came back to Jamaica and I was just linking up with Rvssian at the time because, you know, we had mutual friends and we would just go to the studio and work on music. So after like a year of that, I said, all right, I had been, you know, dibbling and dabbling in music before that, but I said, okay, I really think I can do this, but I want to go to music school and get some more knowledge, you know? At the time, I never forget, Rvssian was like, bro, don't do it. You can take all that money you're going to spend on music school and invest it into yourself and you know. But everybody has their journey, right? I mean, I'm not saying that he was right or wrong, but everybody has their journey. And I mean, I have people that I went to school with. One of my good friends is WizKid's engineer. You know, I met so many great people along the way.
Man.
So it was all part of just my process, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came back to Jamaica in 2013, I started being an intern at Don Corleone's studio. I learned a lot about reggae and what he was doing, which was, I think, instrumental in my learning process, you know? And then after that, I started to work with this artist called Conqueror. I don't know if you've heard of Conqueror.
I've heard the name, yeah.
And he just blew up in the reggae world. I mean, unbelievable. He was doing a lot of covers as well as original music. And, you know, hats off to him. He garnered hundreds of millions of views. And so we had a lot of success. And I was making all that music at that time out of my bedroom.
Wow.
So, you know, we were starting to do well and things started to pick up. So I said, okay, that's when I transitioned into having my own studio. I wanted to create a hub where I could develop more talent and artists could just come and feel comfortable to just stay here for 2 days if they needed to, you know? And that was kind of, I mean, obviously it you know, we see like the big songs now, but that's 10 years ago that this all started.
Yeah,
you know?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So you went to music school, and was that what you studied? Was it the music technology, or was it composition, or?
It was music production.
Okay, nice.
So it kind of entailed everything from like music theory all the way to learning the different microphones, how to mic drum sets, all different kind of things, you know?
Mm. And before that, you said you were linking up with Rvssian. So were you like in the studio with him, like making beats and stuff as well?
Yeah, and then interestingly, when I was at music school, I was making beats with him over Skype.
Nice.
Which is like 10 years later now, I see these guys on Twitch making beats together and doing all these things, you know? We were doing that in 2011, and I mean, we worked on records like Cartel Ever Blessed. It's different, you know? So I had these records when I was in music school, and I was coming home and hearing these records blowing up, and I'm like, I had no idea that these songs were so big.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You know?
So you were in America, and you weren't seeing the impact of these songs that were going off in Jamaica.
No, I wasn't. I mean, at the time it was early in YouTube, so I would see like, you know, they're getting buzz, but I didn't know they're playing on the radio 50 times for the day.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so when you were at music school, like, did you find what was that experience like for you?
So that was like a very developmental stage. You know, I was a little bit older because I had been in college before and dropped out. So what I noticed happening was like everybody was failing classes. They were, having to do back over another semester because they didn't show up, and then you miss 3 classes, you have to take that class over. I was like saying to myself, all right, one thing I'm going to do, I'm here for 2 years, I'm going to make sure that I capitalize on everything.
Yeah, you had that you had that experience behind you,
Yeah, and I had already screwed up before, so this was like my last chance now. My parents said, you can do this, but this is it. Like, if this is what you want to do, prove it to us, And it was like, there was 5 students, I think, that we started together and we finished the whole course together. People were dropping out left and right. It was ridiculous. But,
yeah, I think
it really was.
Yeah.
It really was what I wanted to do at that time. So I had no choice but to just make sure I made it happen,
Mm-hmm. For sure. So then when you finished music school, did you find that did it improve your production straight away? Like, did you notice an instant change?
I would say it gave me a lot of knowledge, but it took me years to develop my ears, which is the key thing. As a producer or any musician or whatever, you have to give yourself the time to develop your ears, and that's gonna just take, like they say, the 10,000 hours or whatever it is. However long it's gonna take. Some people are born with it, and they're natural musicians from they're young. But I had to give myself that time to develop my ears, and we still grow and we still get better. But I think that's part of the biggest thing, is you have to allow yourself to develop the ear for the music,
Mm-hmm. And how do you actually do that? Is that just by making hundreds of beats, or like how do you actually develop those ears?
Listening. I mean, you got to listen. When the artist is in the studio, sometimes you need to do more listening than talking. When the songwriting is going on, sometimes you need to do more listening than talking, just making sure you're a good listener. That's what it takes, It's not all the time you're just constantly giving input. Sometimes you need to listen to it. Listen to it for 3-4 days before you finally hear what it might need, or,
Yeah, and I guess it's an interesting position being a producer, especially one that's, learning their experience while they're on the job, because, the artist is maybe potentially looking at them for the answers, when you might not necessarily even know, because you haven't developed that ear, like you said. So, you could. Has there ever been situations where you felt like you don't actually know what to tell the artist?
Yeah, and obviously you're going to have a different situation every time, right? And we have faced those situations. And sometimes you don't tell them anything. You let it play on, see where it goes, and then after a while, it kind of will just speak to you, Let the music do the talking. And funny enough that now, like when I think about it, that same listening is how I found Nation. If I wasn't listening, if I wasn't in tune with what people were saying, I wouldn't have found Nation. I wouldn't have found Top Man or these other, So it's that ear that I always have to keep my ear to what's new and what's coming to find the talent. If not, you'll never find the talent.
Mm-hmm. So you spent some time at Don Corleone's studio. So tell us about that experience. Like how did you get involved there?
All right, I'll just say this straight up. He is a workaholic. Honestly, it's unreal. That man, with all of the success, all of the achievements that he has had, because at that moment, he had been on the Billboard. He had been, done Protege's albums and done, and he just kept on working nonstop. It was unreal. I'd never seen. I'll say that 2 things that I've learned from Don and from Rvssian, or not 2 things I've learned, but the 2 people I've learned is from those 2 people. I've never seen anybody work as hard as those 2 guys. It's unmatched, and that's why they're successful.
Mm-hmm. So what was a typical day in the studio with Don? Like you just go in there and just watch what he was doing?
I would go in there. He probably would have been making beats all night. He would ask me to stem out beats, mix them down. You know, he would say, okay, start working on this Shaggy song. While he's in another studio making more songs for other people, you know? It was just nonstop. There was no sitting around for him. If he's sitting around with the guitar in his hand.
That's crazy. So you'd gone there with some, obviously you'd been to music school, so you had some level of experience. You know, you weren't just going there, you know, completely green. You know, you're going there with some kind of something to bring to the table.
Yeah, and he was very like open with letting me try, letting me experiment, letting me do my thing, letting me record the artists that are in there, while he was working on what he's doing next. You know. He would pop in, check, okay, do this, do that, boom, he's gone again, you know?
Mm-hmm. So he gave you quite a lot of freedom. Then.
Yeah. And then, you know, I would ask him things, and I think that's where I got a lot of my reggae influence was from him, because just even listening to his music, I would go back, look at stuff he'd done, listen to some of the songs he'd mixed, how he did it, you know, and ask him. And that's how you learn.
Yeah, man, for real.
There's no handbook for it, so he's not going to tell you do this and do that. But if I hear the, you know, the types of snares he's using or the types of reverbs and stuff like that, and then you implement it into your mixing. That's how you kind of figure things out, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, like, what are some of the key things that you maybe learned from Don that, you know, have stuck with you to this day?
I would say the biggest thing is just working hard, because there's no time frame on it, right? So the truth is it doesn't matter how long it takes you. As long as you're working hard, you're gonna get there, and that's facts. You can be the best musician or the worst musician. It doesn't matter, you know, as long as you're working hard, and we see that everywhere, right? I mean, if we look at football or basketball, I mean, all of these players have talent. What makes LeBron James different? What makes Kobe Bryant different is that mentally they worked hard. You know, they were stronger mentally. They did it over time.
Mm-hmm. But from a technical point of view, like, were there some, you know, things that you saw him do that there must have been a lot of things that you saw him do that you've then gone on to do yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as much technical as it is just like having the vision, the creative direction for the overall project, you know? So obviously you're gonna have good ideas and you're gonna always make new ideas, but executing them is key.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that you learned more from working in the studio with Don or from the music school?
Wait, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think it's both, you know. Yeah, man. And you know, hats off to Rvssian too. He's taught me a lot, so much, business wise, musically. He's always been forward thinking, and that's been important in my development too. Mm-hmm. Being able to have somebody that you can call and just be like, yo, what do you think about this idea? And he's able to give you an opinion that whether you want to hear it or not, it still has a lot of value, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And what was your first official release then as Troublemekka? Like, what was your first official sort of solo production, would you say?
So the first song I had put out was a song called Legal with Sniggy and Conscience. And that was in 2013. And it was a reggae song. We had made the whole production, and then Rvssian had brought it to the studio and made Conscience hear it, and he loved it, and he hopped on it.
Nice.
So that was the first production. Yeah.
And what was that experience like of putting out your first record? It must have been exciting.
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming at the time because we went to LA to shoot the video and all this. I'm like, this is my first project. I don't know what I'm doing in LA, you know? But it was a good vibe. I was grateful more than anything. Imagine my first song at the time, Conscience was one of the biggest artists in Jamaica. He was hot like fire in that moment, you know. I mean, everything he was doing was just going crazy. So it was a good vibe.
Yeah, man. And since then, obviously, you put out a lot of records. And I guess with each release, you know, with each project, I guess you build experience and you learn how to do to like market it differently and stuff like that as well. Because you know, I can tell, you know, you're very hot on the promotional side of things, you know, in terms of getting the music out to DJs and stuff like that. You know, I've seen you've been very sort of good at that side of things.
Yeah, so I'll say this, right, Chris? I've been very focused on, like, when I came into the industry, I was trying to work with all the big guys and you know, get the biggest artists on my beats. I realized, especially with even look at Nation's project, that's one of the biggest songs in my catalog, and he was nobody at the time. You know, he had no songs out. He was no, you know. So I said it before in an interview I did in Jamaica. I was like, it's easy to make songs with big artists because they already have half of what it takes to make the song big. But when you can develop the talent and you can bring that talent to the world, that's what's going to make you a talented producer or a special producer and make you stand out from everybody else. So one of the things I've really focused on is trying to develop new talent, right? Now, I'll tell you this, there's a lot of talent out there, and, you know, every day I get people, I have the talent. Well, the talent, if you have a lot of talent, but you don't have the other pieces to the puzzle, then you should go be in a talent show, you know? Because it's much more than talent. And that's what I've realized now. It's who has the best team, who has the best creative direction, who has the best image, marketable image, who has the work ethic. All of these things are what's going to really make the artist stand out now, you know? And talent is like a prerequisite. You have to have talent to be an artist. That's just a given. But can you have other things that are going to really take you to the next level, you know?
And I imagine you must have worked with a lot of artists who have that talent, but then for some reason they just don't have the other components. And that must be kind of frustrating to see as well.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but, you know, I'll say this, right? You typically don't judge people by all of the songs you've never heard or all the songs that weren't big. People just look at and they study what is big, and that's what they see. So for the most part, there's been a lot of stuff I've done over the years that has not been big and it has not worked. And it doesn't make me a bad producer because of that, because people don't care about that stuff. They care about the ones that are big and the ones that did work, you know?
Yeah.
And so you just have to keep trying, and you're gonna fail, of course, but
now that you've had that, you know, that viral moment, and, you know, you've had that increased success with your production, now do you feel any sort of pressure now, you know, that, okay, you know, I can't just put out anything now because I'm Troublemekka, you know what I mean? People are expecting a certain level of success.
I wouldn't say I feel pressure, but I feel now more a responsibility that this is kind of what I wanted, and now I have like a step in the right direction. I need to make sure that I'm more conscious of my decisions, you know, I'm more responsible with my decisions. And then I leave the rest up to just knowing that I have pure intentions to put out good music, you know. So if once I do that and I take that approach, it kind of just happens purely, you know.
And you know, I know that, are you pretty much managing Nation Boss as well now?
So we don't have like any formal, you know, like big contract or anything, but yeah, that's been the situation, you know.
And that must have been a big learning curve for you as well, because, well, had you done that before? Any managing?
I haven't. I didn't do that before. Other than just kind of managing my own career, you know. But it, you know, you have to. There's a couple different hats to wear in that situation, because obviously I'm producing the music, so I'm one of the producers, and then also looking at, you know, the other side of things too. And then there's other people that have been instrumental in helping him along the way. You know, we have guys that are savvy with PR and stuff like that, that we kind of, you know, go to when we need some help with that. And as I said, it's about having an important team, you know. That's the key.
I guess it might have taken some of the, you know, like you mentioned at the beginning, it's probably taken a bit of your attention away from what you're doing. It's just making beats and producing records.
Yeah, which I thought was like also a blessing, because I took a step back from what I was doing to also make sure I gave somebody else an opportunity, you know. And, you know, it would have been selfish for me to do anything else.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, no, I think you definitely have to seize the moment with that, and you know, I think it's definitely worked out well. So I think you made the right choice. But obviously, you linked up with another collab you did with Nation Boss was Chronic Law, who was one of Nation Boss's idols before he got into music. So what was that experience like for him and for you?
So I had obviously worked with Law before, and you know, he had said, yo, let's do something, like I'm ready. And he actually wanted the song for an album that he was working on. And then when we did the song, I was like, I don't know when you plan to put out that album, but right now I'm not waiting on that. I'm dealing with this now. So I had come up with the idea for the video and everything, and I was like seeking the right person to do it. And then I linked up with Shane Creative from Wicked Media, and he loved the idea, loved the concept, and we executed it. And I think that, to me, that might be my favorite song that we've done.
Really? Wow. Yeah, I mean, they're two artists that are definitely aligned. You know what I mean? They're sort of, their sound, you know, their whole vibe and their image, I think, definitely aligned.
Yeah, and then Nation did his part. There we go again, like I was saying to you, not everything works. You know, I made multiple beats before Nation found that song. It wasn't the first beat that I played or the first idea. It took us maybe about a week of me making different ideas, and then Nation found that one, and I was like, yeah, this is the one. This is the right one. And then I sent it to Law, and then he did his part and sent it back over.
I imagine he sent it back within like a couple of hours or something like that.
Yeah, he did it quick. But I mean, yo, Chris, I'll tell you, he linked me multiple times. He's like, bro, you don't send nothing yet. Like, I'm ready, I'm waiting. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna make sure that whatever we send you is gonna be the right thing. You know, I'm not gonna just put the idea together. So there was a lot of patience in it, you know.
Yeah, and that's good that you took that approach, because like you said, you can, you know, it's possible to rush into these things and just do it for the sake of it and not, you know, make sure it's right.
Exactly. And there was, like I said, Nation wrote other ideas that we didn't use, you know, which is what it takes now, right? I mean, we're in an industry where everybody wants to like do a song tonight and they want to put it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, it's the sound, or it might be trap dancehall or whatever. To me, it's none of that. What it boils down to is quality over quantity. Not every single song you do is going to be the one that you should put out, you know, but it's hard to tell people that.
And you feel like artists, especially the young artists who are hot in the streets, do you feel like they feel the pressure to maintain that real fast output of songs? Because it seems like, you know, whenever an artist gets a bust now, it's like you can expect to see at least, you know, 2 songs a week from them, you know, that they're putting out.
Yeah, I mean, if you notice, that didn't happen with Nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was something I consciously made sure. I didn't want to do that. And people were saying, where's the next song? Where's the next song? And now, when you look back, Nation has 5 songs that will stand the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
Humans is still gonna be played. Emotions is still gonna be played. Airplane Mode is still. These are not songs for the moment. So I would even say this to, you know, whoever is watching this interview. Sometimes you need to give yourself 2 months, give yourself 6 months if it means. But it's all about the art. It's not necessarily about making a dollar and putting out something. You know, you have to be focused on quality over quantity, because that's what's going to stand the test of time. And we've seen that with all the big artists, with all the greats, you know.
And you know, even by holding back the music, you're almost extending your buzz in a way, because I've seen a lot of, you know, artists, like, you know, new artists, that they burn out. It's like they crash and burn. And it's like if they'd have maybe held that back for like let's say a few weeks, they would have extended their period of, you know, having that buzz.
Yeah. But they show their hand too early. You know, that's exactly what they're doing. They're going out there and they're showing everybody what they can do. So in 10 songs, you've heard all of this artist's potential and capability, and he's left no room to grow.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I think you definitely got with the right approach with Nation Boss, and you know, it's similar to, I'd say, Coffee as well. You know, the way that she's putting out music. You know, she works her songs. You know, and all of them, not all of them, have the same level of success, obviously, but you know, they all make an impact. You know, on some level.
Exactly, which is the key, right? That is the key. And she has a solid catalog of music, and we know the catalog of music, and that's what matters. People are going to go to her show and they can sing all 10 songs. She's not depending on Toast alone or whatever the one song the artist has to capitalize on the show. She can go out and deliver a show that, you know, you're going to sing for 40 minutes, which is the difference.
Yeah. But you know, looking at the other side of the spectrum, man, obviously we just spoke about Credit Law, who's got one of the craziest work rates I've seen from an artist recently. Like he never stops putting out music, man, and his work rate is crazy. Like, what's it like working with Law Boss?
All right, he'll go to the studio and, like, I mean, he's been here. Them man, they sleep on the couch and just song after song. I mean, he's come here and done 3 songs in the night, you know? So working with him is like, you have to, one, be prepared, because mentally you have to be able to like keep up with him. 2, you have to be prepared musically, because you have to have the beats. If he's going to tell you, no, I don't like that one. No, I don't like that one. So you need to go in there with 20 beats. For me, I can make the beats on the spot, so I can just continue like creating, you know. But his work ethic and just his creativeness is just like on another level, you know. He's constantly just finding new ideas, and it happens so fast. I mean, he's doing songs in 15 minutes. It's ridiculous, honestly.
And do you think that the ability for him to create a song so quickly has come from just that non-stop work ethic?
Yeah. You know, Chris, I said this, right? Everybody has a different path. Chronic Law is the voice of the streets, right? So he has to feed the voice of the streets. He obviously doesn't have like the situation he doesn't have his US visa, different things. So he's not constantly on tour like other artists. So he's found his way of delivering and connecting with the people, and it's by putting out a lot of music. We all want to see him start to get the opportunities to tour more. I see now he's got a show in the UK. That's big for him, you know? That's a big deal, because he hasn't had these opportunities, and he's been in the game where he should have gotten these opportunities earlier. But, you know, everybody's situations are different, and that's what I think is going to make him go to the next level, which he deserves to, and he should be there, you know.
Yeah, for real.
Because talent-wise, he has it. There's no question about it. He's one of the best in the business for sure.
And he's got a solid fan base as well, you know, and he's constantly feeding the fan base. So, you know, I think when you do that, you can't really go wrong.
And I think he's also, now you see he's making more effort to do the visuals and to do the other things that count, you know. Because at some point you have to reflect back on yourself as an artist and say, okay, these are my strong points. Where am I lacking? Okay, I need to start doing better visuals and stuff. So you tend to focus on that, and you grow. And we're gonna look back and say, okay, he was the voice of the streets. Then he started to take more, you know, action in the visuals and stuff like that. And you can see the difference it's making on his career for sure. So you have to give it to him for that.
Yeah, man, for real. So what's the next big project for you then? Obviously, you know, like you said, you've got a few singles with Nation Boss. Can we expect to see like an EP or an album or anything dropping soon?
Yeah, and I have another single coming out called Telephone Line. We actually shot the video around the time of Emotions, so we've had it for a while. I'm working on my Troublemekka album now, which is going to be something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I've kind of waited till, you know, when you're working on music and stuff, you want to make sure that it's delivered properly, you know. And I feel like now I have the opportunities to deliver it the way I wanted it to be done. And then as of last week, I got in the studio with Black Hero, and who is just phenomenal. Voice of the future, you know. And we have a song that we're working on that right now, I just wake up and listen to that every day. I can't stop listening to it. I really think it's going to be big.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a wave of artists, you know, obviously like Nation Boss, Black Hero, Yaksta, you know, even Chronic Law, that are all on this conscious kind of path, conscious wave, you know, on the sound. Is that exciting for you? Because it seems to suit your production style.
Yeah, you know, I always wanted my music to have good intentions. So I'm very conscious about that, and it fits what I want to do and the vision that I have from my brand as well as their brand. So, you know, that is important to me. Not that I don't do club music or street music or whatever, but I want it to have a positive impact on our culture and our, you know, on our industry. So it's exciting for me to have people now that are, you know, in my contact list that we can work together and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for real, man. All right,
yeah,
bro.
And I feel like, huh?
Go on, bro. Carry on. Sorry.
No, I feel like, you know, as I said before, it's about quality to me. So I'm not gonna be the guy that's putting out 100 songs or 200 songs for the year. I want to make sure that, like, my songs, when I do them, they have the right, you know, concept. The creative direction is done well, from the artwork to the visuals to the music, everything. And that's kind of what I focus on. And if it means I put out 10 songs or 12 songs for the year, then that's kind of my comfort zone in what I want to do. And hopefully, you know, just make the best music you can and hope for the best impact.
Yeah, man, for real. Well, it's definitely working so far, bro. And yeah, man, keep up all the good work.
Bro, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me and chopping it up on the program, bro.
Anytime, bro, man. Keep in touch, yeah? Safe.
Yeah, man. All right. Bless up, Chris.
Safe, bro.